right, Domonique. Bills. Rams. Let's start treetops. Bills are favored. Last I saw was like 2.5 or something. Does that surprise you at all, or do you think that's appropriate?
No, I think that's right. I think the Bills haven't gotten any worse. Maybe they've gotten better than they were talent-wise last year. I guess losing their offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, who's now the head coach of the Giants, is the biggest question mark with Ken Dorsey stepping in to take over. But with the quarterback with experience that Josh Allen has, I'm not as concerned about that. There are much bigger questions for me on the Rams side. So I think the Bills should be the favorite. I mean, they're doing new things.
Let's start there. What's your biggest question about the Rams?
Well, I mean, the health of their quarterback is the number one question. Is Matthew Stafford hasn't thrown the ball this preseason very much in practice because he got a bad elbow. He also has like a career that has been up and down. Last year was up. Well, last year was up, but you could pick out some plays that had they gone differently, like the interception he tried to throw in the NFC Championship game, that we would consider it a down year. They don't have the complement to Cooper Kupp that they had at many times through last season. We'll see what Robinson does. Like, he's talented, but it's not the same situation. They're without Von Miller, who I know is not Von Miller of his prime, but a pass rusher nonetheless. So this team has holes to fill and potentially some hangover potential.
The cap is real. Well, let's start with Stafford in that offense because, all the language coming out, well, not initially. When I think everyone got freaked out when Sean McVay said baseball-type injury, which are words you never want to hear talking about a quarterback. But since then, they've said he's fine. He's fine. He's certainly fine for this game. Obviously, it's week 1. But I think what I'm curious about is last year, so much the offense depended on Matt Stafford to basically throw them out of trouble. They did not have an effective and consistent running game. The offense looked very different from the Sean McVay offenses of old, right? More empty, more drop back, all of that. But what that means is, they were counting on their offensive line to protect Stafford, which, by the way, the offensive line was spectacular last year. And then they were counting on Matthew Stafford to make crazy throws. And, obviously the wide receivers are terrific as well. And I think that's where I get a little bit worried is if that's the same formula this year, there's the injury, which is I don't want Matthew Stafford throwing 1 million times, a game or whatever. And I also don't want an offensive line with 2 new starters being leaned on super heavily at the jump. Joe Noteboom at left tackle is experienced. He is good. They paid him, but he's not Andrew Whitworth, man. Like, I don't know if people quite appreciate how good this line was last year. Top 3 in both pass and run block win rate. I think, actually, I just said that without even...
Sounds good. Run with it.
Feels right. Okay, no. First in pass block, 12th in run block. Well, I did talk about the run game, but and I think it's going to be very challenging going up against a Bills pass rush that adds Von Miller to a group that was already really, really good. They didn't bring down quarterbacks at a high rate, but they have many good young players who will now benefit from the presence of Von Miller. I thought Ed Oliver was really good at the end of the season. They bring in Tim Settle, Daquan Jones. The hope I would have for the Rams, if I was a member of the Ramley, is that the line can hold up long enough for them to attack the cornerbacks. Because, Domonique, that is a problem in Buffalo.
That is the question in Buffalo. They do not have Trey, who is still recovering from the injury, Tre'Davious White.
I like how you just called him Trey, like he's your friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cornerback thing. We can.
Okay.
I mean, you know how you and D tackles do. It's just we are already
Daquan,
acquainted. Yes.